Go. Yeah, just trying to remember the other significant chapter in my life. I remember going to school for the first time. St Michael's School down there in, well, I called it Bell Green, but it's more still Forest Hill, and I suppose Sydenham, I suppose you could call it. Yeah. God, what was that like? Brother, yeah. Obviously, because I was the oldest, and it was just me that went to St Michael's School, Church of England School. Really small building, but old building. I remember it even had a fireplace in it. It had like a grate, and I suppose, yeah, it had to be, yeah, proper real fire in there. I can remember the heat coming off that darn thing. You couldn't have that in schools today, no way. But you know, in these times of political correctness, and you've got to do everything by the book, and everything's got to be managed now, isn't it? So no, you couldn't do it in these days. But in them days, yeah, there was like a real fireplace, and I remember, yeah, it was all old, massive, big. Yeah, it was protected, obviously, with a grate, like a mesh type thing over it, so that we couldn't get near it, but it's still a real fire nonetheless. Yeah, I remember having the uniform on and being excited and everything. Obviously apprehensive at the same time, but I remember going in, being taken to school by Mum. Yeah, Mum took me to school that day, the first time. And I remember just looking around this place, looking around this building, and seeing all these other kids, obviously of my age, boys and girls. Yeah, it was weird. Why was it weird? Well, it was because when I looked around, I was the only black kid in that school. And I think perhaps I was one of the first black kids in that school, because, brother, when I look round, I don't remember ever seeing any other black kids but me in there. And I must admit, I remember, you know, I was a bit of a novelty in that school. Yeah, I was a novelty. When I look back, I possibly definitely was one of the first black kids in that school. Yeah. And I must admit, and that was the first encounter, my very first encounter of knowing that I was really different compared to everybody else. And I remember that, you know, I wasn't being treated in the same respect that I got from, say, Mrs. Oakley. You know, she obviously, you know, she loved us, me and my brother, and that, as I said earlier on. And I wasn't feeling that with all these new kids, these new boys and girls around me, and being the only black kid in the school. So I suppose you could say it was my first encounter of knowing that I was different. And then I remember, yeah, some of the kids around at break time, basically just taking the mickey out of me, not being kind and not being nice, calling me all sorts of names. Yeah, I was being bullied, I suppose, but I didn't understand what bullying was in them days. All I know is that it wasn't nice what was happening to me, and I remember kind of running to the teacher. I was really upset with everything that was happening. I said to the teacher, I said, Miss, they're calling me names all the time. They're calling me names. And you know what? You know, when I look back, and all the teacher said to me was, "Don't worry about it. Just go back to them and say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Now that's a big long sentence for a, you know, a young kid at that time of my life, you know, and I'm trying to remember everything that she told me. Sticks and stones will break my... Anyway, I thought, okay, I'll go back into the playground area, and then these bullying kids kept coming, you know, nigger, you know, it was all of that, yeah, I mean, hey. So sticks and stones will break my... And then I forgot what to say. I got halfway through, sticks and stones will break my bone, and I had to run back to the teacher. So, ma'am, miss, I forgot what to say. What have I got to say? And she told me again, and I went back, and I just kept forgetting what to say about sticks and stones that broke my bones. So I had to kind of wear it and swallow it. I remember not feeling that good that day. But when I look back on it, yeah, the racism, it was racism. And the teacher didn't really do much about it. It was, well, it didn't seem to bother the teacher that I was being bullied. You know, she didn't come out of the classroom to come and see what the situation, what really was going on. She just sent me back out there and just basically had to get on with it. So that's what I had to deal with back then. And I suppose kind of had to I kind of learnt lessons that day, and it was the beginning of knowing how to deal with those type of situations. I suppose indeed anybody of my hue, my colour, non-white, you know, kind of, I'm in that situation. In that situation, you've got to just deal with it, and I did. You know, it didn't kind of change my relationship, obviously, with Mrs. Oakley and Stephen and Sheila and all those people that used to look after me and my brother when we were kind of growing up. But you know, I never saw them in the same vein as I saw some of those horrible kids that were bullying us. So yeah, I just dealt with it, because you got to, you know. Them days, political correctness there was no such thing. You just got on with it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, you blow that. Yeah. But anyway, so I dealt with that. The other thing is that just moving on from that, is that Mum, I don't know if it's a black thing, and I suppose it is, whereby you're given a name, obviously. At home, everybody just called me Tony. You know, Mum called me Tony, Dad called me Tony, and I thought that's what my name was. But you know, it's actually my middle name. My proper name's Clive, and somehow it got back to Mum that the kids in school were, you know, and the teachers were referring to me as Tony, and Mum said to me, "Your name's not Tony, it's Clive." I'm like, but why? She said, "No, Tony's your middle name, Clive is your proper name." And it kind of seemed to really bug my mum that they were calling me Tony. But then she came into the school, she brought me to the school, and she, you know, ordered to see the, you know, like the headmistress. Was it headmistress or headmaster at the time? I think it was a headmaster at the time. And she obviously explained to them, you know, you're calling my son Tony, his name's not Tony, it's Clive, blah blah blah. I must admit, I was thinking, even at that young age, being down there, this seems to be a bit of a big deal and a lot of fuss going on over what they're calling me, you know, my name. But anyway, obviously the teacher took that on board, or the headmistress or the headmaster, I'm sure it was the headmaster, took it on board, and they said, "Yeah, okay, I'll sort that out." And he saw the class teacher that was my immediate teacher that used to teach us, and it was a big deal. I mean, everybody, you know, the teacher brought us into the class and said, he said, "Well, I need to make an announcement. We have been calling Tony by the wrong name. From now on, he will be known as Clive Frankson. So I want everybody to say Clive. Clive, and our flipping class went, Clive, Clive, and they all bemused. I mean, I must admit, I was bemused. But anyway, so they, oh, Clive, so your name's now Clive. I remember, oh mate, that was weird, because at break time, everybody's like coming around me, and they're going, why are you changing your name? I say, I'm not changing my name. I'm trying to explain to them that, you know, they call me Tony at home, but my proper name is Clive. But it's just a West Indian thing. I don't know why they give you one name and they call you something else. But anyway, it just seems to be a tradition in a black household. You don't seem to find that so much in the English setups. But yeah, I must admit that was another big deal. That was weird. And I remember going around to say, well, the people that I liked that didn't bully me, I'd go, you can call me Tony, and you can call me Tony, and you can't, you've got to call me by Clive, I'm Clive to you, and you can call me that. So yeah, those were the days, man. Those weird days. Yeah.